everybody, a warm welcome to another interview on Wisdom from North. I'm Jannecke, and today I'm so excited to be here with Karen Salmansohn. She is a former stressed out advertising executive, and today she is a healthy living expert, a multi-best-selling author, having sold over 2 million books. Amazing. She also calls herself a longevity research geek. And when she became 50, she realized another dream of hers, which was to become a mother. And as a late-in-life mom, she loves to research longevity boosts and share them with her audience, how they can age slower and become more healthy and happy. Hello, Karen. How are you doing today?
Very good. How are you?
I'm very good. I'm excited to meet you. And when I did this research on you and I looked into your page, I was amazed of all the books you have written. Is it around 40 books right now?
Yes, it is. It's so many that I've lost count. I think it's inching towards 50 books. I just sold a few more that are I'm booked for books until I think 2020, the year 2020. I have 3 more books after I have Instant Calm coming out this summer, and then 3 more books already lined up after that one.
That is just amazing. Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, there's so many of us who are not, writing one book even. So I might get back to that, but I would like to focus on happiness today, because I saw a lot of the titles of your books are about happiness, and I got curious about it. What inspired you to really focus so much on happiness?
Oh gosh. Well, I've always been interested in psychology. When I was a little kid, so we go way back. I'm going to give you your answer going way back. I used to read Psychology Today magazine, and then there was a magazine here in the States called Mad Magazine. I don't know if you ever heard of it. It's a humor magazine. So I would read Psychology Today, all about psychology, and then I would read this Mad Magazine, which had all this feisty humor in it. And I think to myself that that's what my books are, because I merge humor with psychology, and I am a research geek, but I bring everything to light with humor, because I feel people learn better when things are given to them in a fun way. And so I gave a TED Talk on this, Fun is a High Performance Fuel. And so I present all of my books. I say I do self-help for people that wouldn't be caught dead doing self-help.
Right. I saw that sentence and I was like, that's a good sentence. Do you think we sometimes over-focus on self-help and self-development?
I don't know about over-focus, but I would say, I don't know about kind of saying that everybody, but I would say that we might put too much emphasis on being happy. Emotions are messages, and that we are meant to feel stress and unhappiness and disappointment and rejection, so we can rejigger our lives. These are all messages, do something different. And that's why sometimes I know people need antidepressants, but sometimes you need to get those messages so you know how to shift your life. So well, this relationship isn't working, rather than numbing out. Okay, what do I need to do differently? Because I believe that we're all here to learn lessons to help us to become our best possible selves. And there's been a new study, a new area of psychology called ego diversity, which I find super interesting. And it's all about how you can sometimes be happier if you allow yourself to be a little bit depressed. If you put too much emphasis on being happy all the time, then that can ironically make you unhappy. But if you allow some room for emo diversity, emotional diversity, then that's where you learn the lessons that help you to grow. That's where you just kind of let life be the rich fabric of emotions that it is.
So happiness is is such a deep and big question, and I don't remember what speaker said it. I think it was like this Indian guru I saw on YouTube, and he was like, what everybody really wants is happiness. And I really agree with you that if we focus on, I gotta have this that I feel like I don't have, we're kind of like chasing it in a sense. At the same time, it is this paradox that I find in spirituality and personal development, that we have to focus on it and not focus on it. We have to manifest it and let go of it. And so what do we actually do to, like, you know, become more happy? Shouldn't I do anything? Or so what are your suggestions? Like, how do we hack happiness in a sense?
Well, I am a big fan of meditation for so many reasons. I feel that, and it's meditation is now being recommended by like psychiatrists, and it's backed by research. Neuroscientists can see the change in your brain. It's not just some like yoga girl thing. It's a real scientific change in brain chemistry. And there have even been some studies that show that meditation can work just as well as antidepressant for lower levels of depression, not for like extreme depression, but for John Hopkins or UCLA, they've both done studies. Either they both said it or one of them said it, but it comes up a lot that it's now being recommended by therapists and psychiatrists to help with depression. And I love it. I love meditation because it calms me for the day. I start off with meditation. It calms me in the middle of the day. I have these 2-minute meditations that I do that I can help to get me back on track. But it also helps to give me insights. It helps to clear my mind. It's sort of like, you know, if your computer is frozen, you have to unplug and replug. That's sort of what meditation does. You unplug and then you replug, and then you get clear on things. You know, so I feel that it's interesting. I just took a taxi somewhere today before I did this interview, and my phone ran out of battery in the taxi. I was like, oh, because I thought I was going to do all this catch-up stuff. And I'm like, I'm a meditation teacher. I know I'm going to meditate, right? And so in the back of the taxi, I did some meditation. And when I got out of that, it was the best taxi ride. I had all these ideas, creative ideas, thoughts for one of my relationships on how to improve it, something having to do with my son. It was like the best taxi ride ever because I was meditating. And I got creative ideas, relationship ideas. I felt relaxed, and you know, and then I got to my destination. So
beautiful.
I love meditation. I really recommend it.
So for those who struggle with meditation and might be thinking right now that, you know, but I tried it and it's so much noise in my mind and I just hear all my negative thoughts and I feel like I don't connect with anything and I just feel worse. I've actually heard many people say that. So what is your suggestion for that?
Well, fun meditations, because I used to try to get my son to meditate when he was getting stressed out. And I'd say, breathe, breathe. And he'd say, Mom, every time you say breathe, you just get me more stressed out because I kind of don't even know what that means. And then I tried to give him a typical yoga type breathing exercise. And he's like, I don't know how to do this. So what I did was I went out for him. This is great for all the moms out there and dads out there. And I got him a pinwheel, a Spider-Man pinwheel, because he loved Spider-Man at this time. This was a couple of years ago. He was probably about 5 or 6 or something. And I gave him the Spider-Man pinwheel. My dog video bombs my interviews.
Yeah, welcome.
But and then he kind of calms down rather than like have this embarrassing fight with him on screen. So everybody,
you're welcome to join us.
This is Fluffy.
Hi, Fluffy. Oh, cute.
So anyway, I got my son the pinwheel, and then he would breathe. I'd say breathe out for 4 seconds, breathe in for 4 seconds. And because he had something to focus his mind on, it worked not only as a breathing exercise, but it even helped him, like, you know, it gave him something to direct his thoughts to. And I say that with meditation, part of the problem is people think they just have to stop their thoughts. And if you do what I call a stop and swap, then meditation is easier. So, example for the moms and dads, pinwheel. You're breathing, but you're also doing a stop and swap. You're not just saying, stop thinking those thoughts that are getting you upset. you're telling your child to direct his thoughts towards this goal of making the pinwheel spin. So we can do that for ourselves with meditation. So I have, in my book, Instant Calm, I have all these 2-minute meditations that are linked to your senses, like sight, smell, taste, touch, and hearing. So the first one I love to give out, because it's so surprising, and I could give out a couple of them, is my dark chocolate meditation. And this will give you an example of a stop and a swap, okay? So you say, I don't like to meditate. Do you like dark chocolate? Now I'm getting you over to come on over to the meditation side if I make it fun, right? So dark chocolate has something in it that's very good for serotonin and hormones and all of that. It has things in it that help you as long as you don't overdo it. So this meditation, what you're supposed to do is take a chunk of dark chocolate, just a little one, put it in your mouth, and for the time that it takes to melt, just stop and swap your thoughts, swap them. Think only about the taste of the chocolate in your mouth and let it melt and feel the melting sensation as it melts. Don't chew, and let it melt in your mouth. Direct all of your attention to that. Now, I know there's a lot of meditation out there. They say stare at a flickering candle flame. This is a lot more fun. I like to get your attention on the chocolate melting, and just however long it takes. And it takes about 2 minutes for a little chunk that size to naturally melt in your mouth if you don't cheat and chew. So I have all of these, they're called grounding tools that help you to focus on your senses in various fun ways and thereby distract your busy chattering monkey mind. Right. So you can get calm again.
So helping you concentrate oh, now there's a feedback. So actually helping your mind concentrate in a sense.
Yeah. Well, redirecting your thoughts.
Okay.
Listen to your thoughts. Oh, no. Come over here. Come over here. Stop thinking about that unpleasant thing. Come over here. This is concentrate or focus here. They're also called one-pointed meditations because they give you a new point to focus on. So, yeah.
I actually think that, like everything, that the more you meditate, you get better at it, that it will silence more. Because my experience is that, and what I've learned is that in the beginning, a lot of stress comes up. It's actually when you sit down or you start, exercising, you get very sore afterwards. When I sing after I haven't sung for a long time, right after I'm so hoarse. Right. And if you do acupuncture, you get worse before you get better. So it's kind of the same. I feel like that in the beginning, there might be a lot of thoughts coming up because it's stress, wanting to be released. I remember one meditation teacher said, and I guess it has to do with get over that barrier in a sense. And then people might have experience like you are saying, I just got out of that taxi and I just felt so good.
Well, once you start to link meditation with peacefulness and happiness, then you're more likely to do it. But if you link it with boring or failure, then you're less likely, So that's why also my book Instant Calm, I have these 2-minute meditations because it's much easier. I say it's much easier to be a saint for 2 minutes than for a half an hour. So if you tell yourself, I'm going to meditate for 30 minutes, you're going to set yourself up for some disappointment. But, 2 minutes, okay, sign me up. And then you can slowly, it's the principle of Kaizen, small changes over time become big changes over time. Slowly, you can go from 2 minutes to 3 minutes to 4 minutes to 5 minutes, or quite frankly, you could even keep it at 2 minutes because it's better to do something for 2 minutes than do nothing. So at least if you do 2 minutes of meditation, maybe do it for, twice in a day. That it's like the unplug, replug. It helps to refresh your brain a little bit. So, you don't have to make a big 30-minute, meditation festival out of it. You can just take 2 minutes and help your brain to clear out some of the cobwebs or static or whatever it is.
Yeah. And you talk a lot about fun. Like you said, you had a TED Talk that I watched about fun, and that's your superpower in a sense, super fuel. And I was thinking about if you are struggling with happiness, maybe you are a bit depressed, maybe not the most severe depression, but you don't have that, like it seems like to me that it's very natural for you to have fun and be sparkly, but what about those who are not feeling that and maybe feel that it's kind of fake to have fun because they don't feel this natural urge to implement fun in their lives because they're not there in a sense. They want to get there, but it seems like so far away. So how can I have fun when I feel I'm like, life is not really super right now.
Well, first thing I would say, actually, quite frankly, is you got to sometimes fake it till you make it. And there's been studies that say that you can trick your brain just by smiling, There's also studies that say that altruism helps to cheer people up. When you get outside of yourself and you go to help other people, there's even something called helper's high. Watching somebody else help somebody else, just even being near people that are helping people, which I think is like kind of amusing, There have been studies that if you actually watch videos, like go to YouTube and watch videos of people doing acts of kindness, that can cheer you up, just watching people being kind and nice, even if you don't have it in you at that moment in time. But those are some things. And, of course, tapping into your signature strength, like everybody has something that they lose track of time in that they're in flow doing. And so doing something that, reminds you of builds up your self-esteem because you're good at it, that can help you. Singing, if that's something that you love. In my book, Instant Calm, I have a fun meditation. It's very easy to do. You can do it in the morning when you wake up. It's a shower power meditation. And when you're in the shower in the morning, this is a touch one. You get quiet and you become aware of the feeling of the water on you, and then the water pressure, and then hot versus cold, and then you put on your body wash and the feeling of that, or if you have a loofah, the scratchy feeling of that, and then you imagine yourself washing off all your troubles. Picture each of them, the trouble with this person, the trouble with that, the trouble with this work thing, and wash it all off of you. And then just imagine washing your stresses and your anxieties and having it go down the drain, and just even look down at the drain. Like, bye-bye, make it sort of a fun game. Bye-bye. There's an old song when I was growing up, I'm going to wash that man right out of my hair. I don't know. It's an old one even for me. But, kind of just imagine you're washing it all out of you and then down the drain.
Yeah. Because I think, this is such an interesting topic because for me, I don't know sometimes why I don't feel super excited about the day. Sometimes I do, other times I don't. And for me, I look at it as that there are clouds there. There are just clouds today. It's clouded today. And other times it's like really sunny. And like I didn't do anything. But I do think we are influenced by so many things. Like the cycles, the moon cycle, the seasons, of course my menstrual cycle, hormones.
Studies on that, definitely. Yeah. And, when I coach people, I'm very much about the whole holistic approach. I ask them, well, what did you eat yesterday? Like the day before, what you ate could make you feel pretty lousy the next day when you wake up. You can have what I call food hangover, where you wake up and you just feel like, ugh, and it's because you had too much sugar or you had too much processed food, so you have to look at that, or not enough water, you're dehydrated. There's a lot of studies that, dehydration makes you feel anxiety and stress. Wow. Huh. So just even having a glass of water and hydrating yourself can help you.
Yeah. It's interesting how many things are influencing us, and some of them we can control and others we can't in a sense. I also think that we are influenced by other people's energies and thoughts as well. And it's not always easy to know what is mine and what is yours.
Yes. I know there is a lot of truth. There's actually something called emotional contagion. And there's been studies on this, and animals do it. Like, you see the birds flying in a flock. They're actually picking up signals from each other, animal instincts and everything like that. Well, we have it too. And there's been studies that they had like a husband and a wife, and they had one of the spouses watch the other spouse get an electric shock, and when the spouse watched, they had a feeling of their MRIs, the brain, a feeling of pain too. It's a form of empathy, and that same form of empathy and sympathy, which we feel for others, can also be if you're around somebody that's negative or stressed or unhappy. There's a certain level of emotional contagion of their emotions, and not just because they treat you crappy, just even like they're naked, you can start to absorb it. You can start to pick up some of their patterns, even their body language. Like if you're around somebody that's like slumping, you'll slump. Or if somebody, obviously, if they yawn, you yawn. If they're smiling, you tend to smile. All of these things. It's so many things that are influencing us all the time. And
yes, and that saying, you become the ones you hang out with.
Oh, yes. Yeah, there's a lot of truth. They've been done studies on that you become sort of the same weight as the people you hang out with. You become the same money-making abilities as the people you hang out with. The same, again, emotional contagion. You have to watch the company that you keep.
Yeah. And like dogs, speaking of dogs, they are truly influenced as well of their owner. Like I heard this story about this really depressed woman that got this happy dog, but that didn't work because the dog just became really, really depressed after a while.
Really? I never heard of that. That you had a depressed dog?
Yeah. Oh yeah, they pick up our emotions.
That is interesting.
Oh yeah, you should study that. Yeah, for
but
sure.
It's funny because I have like the mind of a scientist on some level because I've read so many research studies. So I immediately thought, this is what I thought. Depressed woman wants to stay in all the time, doesn't walk the dog, and that's why the dog is depressed. Depressed woman doesn't allow the affection of the dog feels lonely, that's why the dog, because I can't imagine, because dogs are such happy beings, it's hard for me to imagine a sad dog unless there's some sort of like treatment of them because I feel like dogs have a natural buoyancy, so I'm intrigued by that study.
That's interesting. I mean, it said that our natural state is joy as well, but then life happens.
That's true. That is true.
Maybe,
it is true.
Maybe they have a more register of emotions as well. I don't know. Now I just learned that fishes have emotions or feelings.
Little fish have emotions, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
What was that? I'm fascinated. What was that one?
Oh, I don't know. This is something I heard. I can't remember where I read it. It was in the paper that they discovered that fishes have emotions or feelings. I don't know how deep emotions, but they could feel, like they have feelings. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Because I think, it's funny because I go to a hair salon that has these Japanese fish. What are they called? Koi fish? I forgot what and it's this long pond, indoor pond, or whatever you call it. And the fish are always on the right side of the thing, and they're never to the left side. It's a very long thing. And I'm like, what? And then they said in the salon, they feed them on the right side. I'm like, oh, so the fish are smart enough to know, hang out. It's actually, they're being trained for happiness. More happiness happens on this right side, and they just kind of only hang out on the right side of this little water system. So I thought, okay, so fish can learn things. Fish can know, they can know, hang out over here, more good things happen.
Yeah. I mean, this is so interesting, and it's such a big topic. Oh my goodness. But I think, everything has consciousness, just to a different degree, and maybe different kind of consciousness. Maybe they operate in a different way that we don't even know about because we're not fishes and we're not dogs. So we kind of cannot imagine that universe of dog universe or fish universe.
Yeah.
Who knows? Just my last question. You've been very fascinated by Aristotle.
Yes.
Yes. And I saw an interview with you where you said it's important to have the end goal in mind or something on those lines. Yeah, can you talk a bit about that?
I love that you did your research. That's so sweet. I love it. Yeah, these are like all things that are important to me. My son, I don't know if you can see, I got a little tattoo of Ari. My son's name is Ari.
Oh, nice.
And I named him as a wink to Aristotle.
Oh, beautiful.
And Aristotle says that the reason why we're here on this planet, this is a little bit about what I started off talking about, is to learn the lessons that we need to learn to become our best selves. Education of the soul, he says. And so he says that you should begin any project with the ends in mind, anything from writing a book to doing this interview. What's our end goal for this interview? Setting an intention, so to speak. And he said this applies to the gigantic project called your life. So you should begin with the ends in mind. So he says that everybody who is alive on this planet, no matter how different we are, we all have the same end goal. And that is to become our best possible self, but our best possible unique self. So, and thereby, when problems and challenges happen, if you see it as happening for you and not to you, that this is here to bring me a lesson, this is here to bring me an insight, this is here to help me to grow, then you'll be able to deal with those challenges a little bit more, because you're like, okay, this is happening to help me on what is something positive I can get out of this? How will this help me to grow? So if you begin with the ends in mind, then you live your life better. And there are lots of studies right now that are going on with people at the end of their life, and they ask them, to look back on their life and what are you feeling? And I'm really fascinated by these subjects about the regrets of the people that are on their deathbed. And it's a very kind of morbid topic, but at the same time, it leads to happiness ideas, because really when you're on your deathbed, the things that you value when you look back on your life is how well you loved and received love, the people in your life, facing your fears, having courage to do things, and all those ways that you grew. And it's really not about I made X amount of money. It could be I learned the skill sets. I made it through challenges. I managed to, but in the end, it's not the dollar itself. It's how you grew as an individual. And those are things you need to keep in mind. Again, begin with the ends in mind. When you're on your deathbed, is this really going to matter? Or if it does matter when you're on your deathbed, can you use that as motivation to push through a struggle?
Right. And I mean, we could use it as a visualization exercise as well, like looking at myself lying there being really happy with my life, how it went, so fulfilled.
So what would make you happy on your deathbed? I mean, it's kind of morbid. It's like to be happy or think about dying, but
I'm not afraid of dying. I'm like, I welcome it when that time comes. I'm not afraid of it. I've had this strange thing all my life that I'm like, I kind of look forward to it because I think it's going to be wonderful. But I'd like to be here as well. But it's going to be, I'm going to this exciting new place. How can that not be bad? But of course, I don't want to go now. But when I'm like, I don't know, 97, I want to just imagine that I was really happy with what I did. I was of service in life. I had a lot of love. And then I'm like, I'm ready, God. I'm like, just go.
Awesome. No, I understand that. I definitely feel that way. Definitely.
Yeah.
Totally. I'm with you.
I actually said this to this guy I was dating, and he was like, what? Are you looking forward to dying? I'm like, don't misunderstand me, but I don't understand why we're so afraid of speaking about death. Because for me, it's just a transition. And of course, if I lost somebody, if I died right now, that would be, I don't know what I would feel if I died, but losing someone, that would be horrible. I'm not saying that, but I'm not afraid of death itself, because I think that I will just go on and move into a beautiful dimension. So I'm quite just excited to see what's
you have
there.
a belief system that the soul and the spirit live on, which I've been intrigued about lately because my father passed away, and I've had a couple like little weird synchronicities. So
I read that blog.
But it's interesting because I'm so psychological, and I joke that, you know, instead of being woo woo, I'm one woo. I'm like woo, like I'm really open to it. But every time I go to talk about it, I'm like, I'm not sure I believe, but I'm kind of like teetering right now on that. But I do feel like there's something more. I do.
And that's fine. Like, I could never take away that belief. It has always been there. So it's just a part of me, but I don't have a proof. So I'm the first one to say, you know, I could be so wrong. It's just like I feel like I know, but I don't know how, but I could be wrong. So we'll see. Well, Karen, it has been a pleasure speaking to you.
Yes,
Thank you so much. And all the best with all your books and your beautiful work with inspiring so many people on all your social media platforms. So thank you so much.
Thank you for inviting me here.
And thank you so much for watching, and remember to subscribe to both our YouTube channels if you haven't before. Much light. Bye.